If you're a general contractor working in the construction industry, you may be well aware that one of the most frustrating issues that you've likely come up against is being let down by underperforming subcontractors. But more importantly than this being a mere frustration, it can also significantly damage your business and result in financial losses. Now, fortunately, over the years, I've helped my clients implement systems and put processes in place to ensure that they're hiring the best performing subcontractors for their business, helping them not only to save time but also money across their projects. And so in today's video, I'm going to be breaking down the top 4 methods that I use to ensure that my clients are hiring the best subcontractors into their business, which is going to help you build a strong supply chain of reliable subcontractors. My name is Aaron. I'm a chartered quantity surveyor and owner of Hayden Construction Services, a management consultant to the real estate development and construction industry. And so without further ado, let's get into the video. And so tip number 1 is to seek recommendations from your existing network. Now, I know that it can be quite easy to open a Google tab and start searching for local subcontractors within your area, but this is where you're likely to find unperforming subcontractors simply because you don't have any track record of working for them. And this is why I highly recommend reaching out to your existing network for any recommendations of subcontractors that may be a good fit for your business. And the chances are is that you've probably worked with a subcontractor before and has done a fantastic job on projects that you've been running. So I recommend that you reach out to those subcontractors and see if they have any recommendations for other subcontractor trades that you need to hire into your project. And this is because word of mouth is probably one of the most powerful tools in hiring the best subcontractors into your business. And that's because if you're already working with highly respected and trusted subcontractors who always make sure that they're doing a good job on your project, if they're coming with a recommendation for another subcontractor trade, that subcontractor is well respected by the subcontractor that you're currently working with. It's all based around reputation. If a subcontractor makes a recommendation for another subcontractor trade, it demonstrates that they have confidence in that other subcontractor and that this recommended subcontractor isn't going to do anything that could tarnish the reputation of the subcontractor who was given that recommendation. And you can also reach out to project managers and quantity surveyors. And this is something that I've done for my clients. Whenever I've moved into a new region, if I'm running a project for a client which is in a new town or a new city or on an overseas project, the main thing for me is establishing a strong supply chain for my client. And so I usually speak to project managers, other quantity surveyors and commercial managers, and I ask them if they have any recommendations for subcontractor trades that I can contact and start building my database. And again, this all goes back to word of mouth. It's all about lived experience. If a professional such as a project manager or a commercial manager recommend another subcontractor because they've used them before and they've got good results, that gives me a little bit of confidence that I can bring them into the business and start the next phase of pre-qualification questionnaires. And that leads me to my second point, and that is to pre-qualify your subcontractors. Now, although you may have a couple of good recommendations for subcontractors that have come from trusted sources, you still want to ensure that you're running a pre-qualification questionnaire process just to filter out any potential subcontractors that still might not be the right fit for your project. And so the pre-qualification questionnaire, or otherwise known as the PQQ, enables you to assess the suitability of subcontractors for your project based on a specific criteria. Now, obviously, every project is different. Different projects vary in different values. You may have a project that's only worth $1 million. You may be working on another project a year later that may be worth $25 million. And so you have to make sure that you have the right subcontractors for the right projects. And this is where the PQQ comes into play. And so the PQQ enables you to assess the size of a company and what the overall management structure is for that subcontractor. It also enables you to perform a financial health check of a subcontractor. And this can be done in the form of credit checks. You can also assess how much debt the subcontractor is holding in the business relative to their equity. So you can come up with a debt to equity ratio, which tells you how solvent the business is. And this is really important because the last thing you want is a subcontractor that goes into liquidation halfway through a project that you're managing, it's going to be an absolute headache. It's going to delay the project and it could result in financial consequences for yourself. So very important as part of the PQQ is to be assessing for the financial viability of that subcontractor. At this stage, you're also going to be asking for permits and licenses that that particular subcontractor may need to perform their work. For example, if it's a groundworks contractor, you're going to want to see some form of tickets and licenses that demonstrate that that groundworks contractor is qualified to be operating heavy plant and machinery. The same goes for scaffolders, specific licenses that the scaffolder may need to demonstrate that they have the qualifications to work from height. You'll also be checking their insurances, and as a bare minimum, you want to make sure that they have public liability insurance and employer's liability insurance. And if they're a subcontractor that will be responsible for any design on your project, you also want to make sure that they have professional indemnity insurance in place. Now, at this stage, you'll also be asking to see their health and safety record, and you'd want them to be forthcoming with any incidents of health and safety breaches that may have occurred in, say, the last 3 years. You can also reference that against national databases just to see how they're performing in terms of managing health and safety on construction projects. Now, this is obviously extremely important because any subcontractor that is setting foot on your project is a safe pair of hands and that they're not going to cause any health and safety breaches on your project, which could result in enforcement notices where your project could be shut down by the local authorities for being unsafe. And finally, as part of the PQQ, also make sure that you're asking for at least 3 references. Now, just like how an employer would ask an employee to give a job reference, it's exactly the same for hiring subcontractors. If you're bringing, say, a bricklaying subcontractor into your business, get 3 good references from them and make sure that they're references that you can actually pick up the phone and speak to the previous project managers or commercial managers on those sites and just get a feel for how that subcontractor has been performing on those previous jobs. You really want to understand what were they like to work with? Did they finish the project on time? Did they finish the project on budget? And how was the subcontractor able to manage and negotiate any changes or variations? Because the last thing you want is a subcontractor who's going to be a headache on your project, always looking for change orders and variations. You want to make sure that the subcontractor is easy to work with, finish the job on time, and also finish the job within budget. And the third point for hiring the best subcontractors into your business is to respect your subcontractors. Now, it's one thing to hire the best subcontractors into your business, but it's another thing in keeping the best subcontractors within your business. And the way that you do that is by showing respect to your subcontractors. You could end up hiring the best subcontractors into your business, but if you don't treat them fairly, they're very quickly going to leave your business to never return again. And word is going to get out to the market that you're not a very good contractor to work for, and you're going to be back to square one where you're struggling to find good subcontractors who want to work for you. And so, what does respecting your subcontractors look like? Well, it means that you always fulfill your obligations, especially when it comes to payment, that you try your hardest to avoid delaying payment or issuing late payments to subcontractors. Try to honor your obligations to pay your subcontractors on time. Always honor your contractual agreements. Don't do anything your side which is going to breach the contract. And always be fair when it comes to the assessment and management of change orders and variations, because in some instances, there may be a legitimate claim by the subcontractor for additional works, or if you've missed something in the scope or tender documents that you've issued out to them for pricing. So always be fair with the subcontractor and ensure that you're giving them a fair opportunity to price any extra work. And this leads me to my fourth and final point, which is to rehire your top performing subcontractors. Now, during this process and throughout the course of any construction projects that you may have been managing, you probably would have identified who your top performing subcontractors are. And for that reason, you want to make sure that you're rehiring them back into your business to tender on any new construction opportunities. And at this stage, the process that I've just explained almost goes around in full circle, because now that you have the best subcontractors working for your business across your projects, you can then ask for recommendations for more suitable subcontractors that you need to hire across your projects. And if you've treated your subcontractors with respect, word will quickly get out to the market that you're a company that can be trusted, that you're a good general contractor, and other subcontractors will want to work for your business. And then when you get new inquiries from subcontractors that want to work for you, then you can begin the PQQ process and select the best subcontractors to join your supply chain. And this is a great position to be in because you're no longer struggling to find high quality subcontractors. You now have subcontractors that are approaching you for opportunities, and all you need to do is your due diligence in selecting the best subcontractors to bring into your business. And as I mentioned, that will be done through the pre-qualification questionnaire process. And so this overall process that I've just talked about, it is a system that I've implemented for my clients, and I've been able to help them really build a robust supply chain of competent and reliable subcontractors that they've been able to use across their projects. And so whether you're expanding into new regions or you're thinking about undertaking projects overseas, this is a great way that you can get out in the market and start finding the best subcontractors to come and join your supply chain so that you stand the best possible chance of delivering successful construction projects. And so that's it for today's video. I really hope you got something useful from this. Make sure you give this video a like and drop a comment below and let me know what you're doing to hire the best subcontractors for your business, and subscribe to my channel to watch more educational videos on the subject of property development and construction. Once again, I'm Aaron, a chartered quantity surveyor and owner of Hayden Construction Services, a management consultant to the real estate development and construction industry. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next one.